No Joe Burrow at Tuesday's training camp practice. What does it mean? Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Bengals, your daily Cincinnati Bengals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Bengals fans, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. I'm your host, Jake Liscow. He's your host, James Rapien. Together, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your Cincinnati Bengals every day, free and available everywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you get notified when we put up our daily episodes, and hit the follow button on your audio platform of choice. We're delivered to your device daily. Maybe it's your commute to work, maybe it's for a run. We'll keep you company and tell you all things new and exciting going on with the Cincinnati Bengals. Today, we're going to start with Joe Burrow, who did not appear after he did show up at Monday's practice on the practice field on Tuesday. What does that mean? Well, probably not a whole lot different from yesterday, but we will dive into that. Jamar Chase also talked about his practice competition with Eli Apple and touched on Joe Burrow as well. And pads went on at Tuesday's practice. There were some one-on-ones for the skill guys, and we got to look at some trench play. Again, one-on-ones mostly, but some very interesting things there, along with some injury updates. James, let's get started with Joe Burrow. He was not on the practice field on Tuesday. Zach Taylor told him to stay inside and rest up. Was moving gingerly on Monday at times in the first place, was seen with that bandage on his arm. All this combines to suggest we're not necessarily going to see that quick end of the timeline for the return to practice for Joe Burrow. The 10 to 14 days might be 14 to 21 days or something more on the quote unquote longer end, not like Ben Roethlisberger's return in a week or some of the other quarterbacks we've talked about who returned to action just a week later.
It doesn't seem like it. And so that's where we'll start. Look, it wasn't as exciting as it was to have Joe Burrow on the practice field. You could tell that he wasn't his normal self, and not like we got close to him or could hear him talk or anything like that. But, you know, videos of him wincing, things like that. Obviously, the thing that was analyzed the most was his arm and what he had over it and everything under it. And guess what? I'm not a medical professional, and you can consult whoever the hell you want to about it and get your info there if you want to. But even then, you don't know for sure. So I don't want to go there. But I will say this from a feeling standpoint, all right, well, it's been a week now. And as we record this, it has been a week. Dialing back a little bit. Yeah, Joe, you can be in meetings, but let's just, and we didn't see him at all when we were in the facility, and I'm still here. I haven't seen him, and I don't know if he's gone for the day or not. Probably not gone for the day. Most players aren't. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, the timing, he might miss most of camp now. And we might not see him through not just preseason game one or preseason game. Maybe he just doesn't play in the preseason, which I think is fine. It's not like he got much out of the preseason last year. The one drive and the 3 snaps, Jake, it wasn't much. So not a shocking, I would say, after Monday that Zach Taylor told him to stay in. And I actually think that that's what's best, not only for Burrow, but best for the team. You don't want this to linger. You want to get him right, and rest is right, the 2 R's. So hopefully he can get plenty of rest over the next days and weeks and be back soon.
Yeah, that is obviously the hope. He'll be back as soon as his comfort allows him to return. There have been a number of studies done on antibiotic administration after appendectomy, in case you are interested in what might be going on medically, in case it is that he has an IV line in for antibiotic administration. Maybe you're curious about that. You can go Google those studies and see what the differences might be in extended antibiotic administration after appendectomy. Standard appears to be 2 days after appendectomy, 48 hours of antibiotic administration. Could be a little bit more in this case for Joe Burrow, but we're not here to necessarily speculate about that. Just wanted to offer that to any of you who are out there nerdy like me who would be into Googling post-operative care for appendectomy, which is exactly what I did to find those studies.
Nerd Jake. No, I'm just kidding. Look,
You're
I think
not wrong.
I think everybody's done that. Like I had DMs like, oh, my wife's sister's brother is a nurse, is practitioners, this and that. And man, my uncle actually worked with the guy who operated on, and it's one of those things, right? Everybody has someone in their family or knows someone. So there's that. That's the Joe Burrow part of it for the day, at least from us, but not from Uno. Number one, Jamar Chase, who, yes, talked in the locker room briefly for about 2 minutes. And, well, you are Locked On Bengals, so why not hear Jamar Chase talk about Joe Burrow, his battle with Eli Apple, and so much more for about 2 minutes here on Locked On Bengals.
Rolling around on the golf cart and not throwing yet, but it's just good to have him back out there with the gang.
Yeah, it's fun having him out there. You can see that the intensity picked up a little bit since he's been there, so it's nice to see him out there again with us.
What's his role been the last 2 days of just meeting rooms and being out there, kind of just talking to you about what he's seeing on certain routes, throws? What's it been like?
He just gives. He ain't been saying too much lately, but when he sees it, he would tell me like outside release on certain routes still, even though I know he will remind me on it. And what I'm saying, just go about his day. It's so
Close relationship with him. I'm sure he's bugging to get back out there. Can you sense that from him, that he's hungry to get back on the field?
I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, anybody would be.
Mark, talk about the competitiveness you and Eli have kind of shown out there on the field, and Cheeto for that matter.
Yeah.
He made a nice catch over Cheeto yesterday.
Eli and Cheeto been giving me good looks all year. You know what I'm saying? Eli is different, and it's just giving me different looks and what I should be prepared for by the season.
Is it fun to have the trash talk and the back and forth with Eli?
Hell yeah, it's fun. It's fun. He is.
Is that good for you though? It gets the energy out of you too. Not that you don't bring energy.
I mean, he pisses me off. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. He pisses me off a little bit, but I mean, it's a fun part of football. You know what I'm saying? So, number competitive. You're just getting each other better as teammates.
What's it been like practicing in front of fans? You did the gritty for the kids yesterday.
In the NFL, so for the most part, it's just been fun. Having an opportunity to have fans there and see all the fans.
Jamar Chase explaining the differences between the corners is my favorite part of that. Eli is more hands. He uses his length a little bit more. Cheeto's more feet. And you can see it in the clips that are out there of these guys going against each other in one-on-ones. Obviously, the tidbit about Joe Burrow and intensity ramping up just with his presence, I think that's pretty interesting too. But I like Jamar breaking down the difference in the Bengals outside corners.
Yeah, the part that I liked, and I'm not taking a shot at Eli, but he is handsy. And so it's like, oh man, he's a little too handsy. Meanwhile, you got Cheeto's sweet feet over here, which makes a ton of sense. I watched him during Tuesday's practice, which was like 2 hours after Jamar made those comments. And I had listened to him a couple times, and I was like, oh, and of course, Cheeto going through ladder drills at the beginning of practice with the defensive lineman, and he's obviously the fastest one. This dude had a big resistance band between his ankles, and he's still just like a jackrabbit versus, and again, it's defensive lineman, but he had a band that was making it even tougher. So the fact that he was able to do that is a testament to his sweet feet. So speaking of Eli versus Jamar and Jamar versus Cheeto, one-on-ones, they happened on Tuesday, and we'll discuss those and so much more next right here on Locked On Bengals.
Sometimes we all need help. The Bengals lost the Super Bowl. Maybe that wasn't such a pleasant time for you. It wasn't for me. And maybe you haven't rewatched the Super Bowl. Sometimes there are other twists and turns, and we're now sponsored on the Locked On Bengals podcast by BetterHelp, and we would love to tell you about them. They've got a great product that will match you with a professional therapist in just 48 hours based on what you tell them your needs are, your preferences are with a therapist. It's not just random. You can list the things that you're looking for, the things that you want to work on, and they'll match you with a therapist. Personally, I think everyone should go to therapy at some point in their life and just work through whatever it is you have to work through. Everybody's working on something. And the thing about BetterHelp is it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's just professional therapy. It's cheaper than traditional offline therapy. You can do it over video. You can do it over the phone. If you don't want to have your camera on for a particular session. You can log into your account anytime and message your therapist at any time. You can switch therapists for free, and it's easy if your therapist isn't working for you. I know one of the barriers for people to get therapy is often that they don't mesh with their therapist, and the cost of starting over with somebody new is overwhelming. Right now, you can get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/lockedon. Again, that's 10% off your first month of online therapy at BetterHelp at BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
A lot of people were asking about one-on-ones, Jake, and when it was going to happen. And honestly, going into Tuesday's practice, I didn't think it was going to happen because it's first day of full pads. They don't have to hit yet. Do you really want to do one-on-ones? And the answer is yes. Zach Taylor wanted to do one-on-ones. We got to see wide receivers go up against defensive backs. Some of the matchups, Cheeto versus Jamar, of course, Mike Hilton versus Tyler Boyd, and Dax Hill versus Hayden Hurst. So there were plenty of matchups that certainly stood out. And obviously this is good for all involved. But the popcorn one is definitely Sweet Feet Cheeto versus Jamar Chase, because they go at it, man. And it's really, really fun to watch those two. They split, by the way. Jamar won one, the second one. Cheeto won the first one. 1-1. A stalemate between the Bengals' top corner and top wide receiver.
I'll say this for the one that Cheeto won, not to take anything away from him, because he was in pretty good position on both plays, and maybe Jamar pushed off a little bit on the one he won. So definitely a battle going both ways there. Those guys both competing. And one, Cheeto being in close coverage on Jamar Chase is impressive because we now know just how good Jamar Chase is. But two, the one that Cheeto did win straight out the pass breakup, not the best back shoulder throw I've ever seen. Like the Joe Burrow Jamar Chase chemistry that normally is present for the Jamar Chase back shoulder throw maybe is complete. This one didn't necessarily seem like, I assume Brandon Allen was throwing these passes and Jamar Chase were on the same page for where exactly that ball would be placed and where Jamar should be looking for the back shoulder. But the other one was just a clean win on an out route. And again, a little bit of contact at the stem at the top of the route. Maybe there's a little bit of contact there, but from what I saw, the angle that I saw, I didn't see anything that would be likely called in a game. So credit Jamar Chase for getting open on that one.
Yeah. And then Jamar, so he had 3 reps of one-on-ones, 2 against Cheeto, 1 against Eli. And Eli got away with what looked like, and they were on the far side of the field. So I was probably 60 yards away, 55 yards away. Looks like he got away with a face mask. And so the ball was on target. Jamar still got open even with the face mask, but wasn't able to haul it in. But yeah, Jamar Chase and one-on-ones, you can't beat that. The other one that was must see, and I'll have some other takeaways too, but Tyler Boyd, Mike Hilton in the slot, matching up 2 reps. Friend of the show, Mike Hilton, by the way. But that being said, draw again. Tyler Boyd lost the first one. Mike Hilton got the better of him. In the second one, Boyd got the better of Mike Hilton. So it's pretty fun watching these guys, because these are the guys that are going to carry the team in critical situations, game on the line that they're banking on. And I love that they get to make each other better. And I love that it was a draw, because that means, next practice they do one-on-ones. Well, they're going to have to ramp it up a little bit and really push each other to make each other better.
We'll say this in credit for the defense too. A draw is a win for the defense in one-on-ones and
Sure.
Receiver corner one-on-ones and coverage one-on-ones. Anyway, that is something that absolutely favors the receiver in that situation, because it's straight up one-on-one man coverage. You don't know where there might be help. You don't know what adjustments you might have to make based on what the coverage is telling you might have to do differently on your route. And so credit these corners, man. Credit those guys for staying with it. I wish we had a Cam Taylor, Britt, Jamar Chase. I've been waiting for that, I feel like, all off season. And Cam Taylor, Britt getting in there for Eli Apple potentially in the next couple of days. And we'll update what's going on with Eli Apple in a few minutes. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to see that matchup.
I have a Cam Taylor Britt update, and it's at least in one-on-ones. Jake Liscow. He is not ready to deal with Jamar Chase.
That's all right.
At least that. No, it is. Because Mike Thomas got him, Trenton Irwin got him, and it honestly, here's the thing that you kind of hinted at it. Eli Apple got a little nicked up at the end of practice after one-on-ones, or towards the end of practice. And so Cam Taylor-Britt got some reps with the ones, and he recovered after Irwin really just got him all crossed up with really nice route running. And then Mike Thomas was able to make a catch on him as well in one-on-one. So you're right. That's kind of what one-on-ones should be, really, is the receiver finding a way to get open. And so when the defense wins, that's obviously tough to do. Cam Taylor-Britt didn't win in his couple of reps, but did rebound after that. So I'm not trying to be all negative on Cam Taylor-Britt. At the same time, I don't know if he wants to deal with Jamar Chase in one-on-ones quite yet.
Iron sharpens iron, James. You gotta get those looks to get him exposed to that kind of skill level. But the other thing here is that you're talking veterans who have been around the league for a while, and rookie Cam Taylor-Britt. But he will have his moments. Certainly, he has the athleticism to do so. And honestly, I think that one-on-ones wouldn't be his strength necessarily anyway. I just want to see the matchups, be it in 11s or in one-on-ones. Getting him reps with the ones is what I'm excited for. And so he might have that opportunity. And again, we'll update some injuries in a few minutes. Saw Dax Hill going against Hayden Hurst. The one that I saw, Hayden Hurst got the better of Dax, but was close coverage again. Dax did have an opportunity to try to rake the ball out after the ball got to Hayden Hurst. Little in-breaking route. And that was all I saw as far as skill player one-on-ones. There were also some one-on-ones in the trenches that we can talk about. There are also some injury updates we can get to. Any other skill position one-on-ones you want to point out, James?
Yeah, a couple. Stanley Morgan Jr. had a really nice catch where he climbed the ladder.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, that's right. I chopped it up with Stanley a little bit during the open locker room too. But yeah, he climbed the ladder, had a really nice catch there. I know you're big on him. You still call him Morgan Stanley. I let him know that.
I haven't done that for so long.
I didn't. I was just kidding. I'm trying to think outside of that one-on-ones. Yeah, you're right. Dax Hill had good coverage. But Hayden Hurst, man, I mean, that's, again, a veteran move. And that's also why the offense should win on one-on-ones. Because if you just, where you're going, it's a timing. It's pretty simple, right? So with those quick hitters like that, is there one more? I'm forgetting? Oh, Puka had a nice catch on one-on-one. So the Puka Williams hive is alive. It is well, and it is growing since I just mentioned that here on Locked On Bengals.
You're doing it, James. You are stoking the flames of the Puka Williams hive.
Yep.
Coming up next, I'm excited by what Jonah Williams showed in some clips that I saw of his one-on-ones. The trench players had pads on, and generally that's when trench players start to shine because they can go at it. We'll give you updates on the trench players as well as some injury updates to wrap up the show coming up next.
But first, a word from BetOnline, because BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. You can get all your favorite sports and events in one spot. I've used BetOnline, and you should too. Why? Because you could wager on the NFL and Joey B to be MVP. You can wager on the Bengals to finish the job this season, or maybe you want to wager on the Padres. Did you see the moves they made at the trade deadline? Well, they got you covered at BetOnline for Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. Yes, golf. You want to wager on golf? You can do it at BetOnline. So go there now, BetOnline, and use your mobile device to sign up, or laptop, PC. It's really simple. They have a great interface that I use right here on my cell phone. So check them out right now. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Remember that me and Joke made about the Reds trying to get that first overall pick next year? They certainly gave themselves a better chance to do so after their trade deadline activity.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Selling the farm. And
buying the farm. Selling the mature products to buy the farm. Because
the Padres going all in, which hopefully is foreshadowing what the Bengals are going to, because the Reds and Bengals have been opposite sides of the spectrum for a little while now. Hopefully it continues and the Bengals go all in at the trade deadline. We haven't even played games yet, and I'm already like, yeah, be aggressive. Go get that move. Go make that move that you need to make at the NFL trade deadline. Much harder to do in the NFL than it is in Major League Baseball, but There you go.
I guess what you're saying is the Bengals are going to trade for AJ Terrell, because Juan Soto really young. Anyway, let's move on into the trenches. We've lost the
I think
baseball,
Soto's better
football.
than Terrell, but go ahead.
Terrell's the best young corner in the NFL. I don't know. I'm just trying to pick a position that would help the Bengals and a young player who, anyway, one-on-ones in the trenches also went down on Tuesday. And there were a couple of clips of Jonah Williams and Joseph Osai back at practice, by the way, doing things in a relatively full participation fashion. And that's really exciting for a number of reasons. One, he absolutely destroyed Isaiah Prince when Isaiah Prince took a left tackle rep against Joseph Osai. Osai got him with a nice little counter move and one inside cleanly. If there's no guard help there, which maybe there is in real life on a real team play, that very well could be a sack. It's at the very least a pressure. So nice to see Joseph Osai getting win, but Osai also went up, as did Trey Hendrickson against Jonah Williams, and Jonah Williams looked locked down. There's only two clips. It's two clips of one-on-ones. But while one-on-ones for skill players tend to benefit or favor the offense, one-on-ones in the trenches tend to benefit the pass rusher. And Jonah Williams put the clamps on Trey Hendrickson and Joseph Osai in the 2 reps I saw. Just literally grip strengthening and not letting Trey Hendrickson free with good inside hands and riding Joseph Osai's rush just 10, 12 yards deep. They were lined up at the 5 and they ended up at the back of the end zone. So 2 really, really nice reps for Jonah Williams. I've talked a lot this year about how bullish I am on him. So confirming my priors 100%, Jonah Williams, lock him in for the Pro Bowl based on these 2 practice reps from the second week of training camp in 2022.
Look at you. You didn't even put on the chain. You can't be making those kind of proclamations and not wear the chain. We're going to get you a chain up in Canada.
People know the sarcasm is there. I mean, I'm very bullish on Jonah Williams.
The sarcasm. Now, you need to go off and print the damn shirts, man. Jonah Williams, Pro Bowl 2022. Sure. Go ahead, Jake. You got to
somebody will do it. Somebody will do it.
Well, now they will. I expect to see them at practice on Thursday, fans. Look, I'll be honest with you. I was locked in on the skill. All these one-on-ones are happening at the same time, and I only have 2 eyes and 1 phone, so I did not get any clips of this. So it's good to hear that with Jonah Williams. Look, I want Jonah Williams to be their second best lineman this year.
I want to be their first best lineman because then they have 2 Pro Bowl level linemen.
Sure. Is it realistic for him to leap over Collins? I mean, maybe it is. And so that's the part of it. One, you obviously root for health, but just in general. But Jonah Williams is a guy who should take a leap. I agree with you. And so if he does, that would bode very well for the Bengals' chances of making another postseason run here. So, yeah, I hope you're right. Anything else on Williams before I get to some of this offensive line shuffle? Because Alex Kappa. All right, we'll dive into it. Alex Kappa's back for the second straight day. Was able to work in on some team drills, which was a welcome sight for sure. Yesterday when you did it the first time, but the fact that you do it back-to-back days is a really good sign because you just never know. Akeem Adeniji was working in with him. So still good to see Kappa, even though he wasn't taking all of the reps.
And it's a full padded day for Kappa. So just getting work in full pads and a little bit more contact as they ramp up is good news as well. Jackson Carman back in addition. So minor, whatever it was that pulled him out of practice yesterday was back in there on Tuesday. And the one other rep I saw that I wanted to mention was DJ Reader, Ted Karras. And I don't think this is a particularly good matchup for Karras. I think he held his own pretty well. And if it's a passing play, he probably did enough. I assume it's a passing play. It's a pass set for sure. He does enough to probably take DJ Reader wide of his quarterback, but man, Reader, so good. Such a powerful,
he's an animal.
Such a powerful player in there. And so that's really fun. Somebody's got to get you to enjoy the trench one-on-ones as much as the skill player one-on-one.
I do. I don't want them at the same time. They got to separate them. They got to do wide receiver one-on-ones, then special teams. All right, offensive line one-on-one. I don't need to watch the special teams during practice. I can do all the other stuff.
You're not watching Evan McPherson and the long snapper battle, James? You're not clocking hang time?
people are saying that. None of that happens. No one's punting. Very rarely are they actually. It's the machine. McPherson's to the side, not kicking. Like it's not like it's the special teams is the coverage, and you're getting the
Right.
guys their wind and seeing how they do in coverage and all that stuff. So it's there really isn't much to draw from it. So yeah, I'm actually glad you said that so I can make it clear. It's not like McPherson's kicking or Huber or Crispin are punting, or even the long snappers are working in those moments during these special teams portions where literally the ball gets thrown up, someone returns it and then holds it, and there are 4 or 5 different colored jerseys around him. So it's pretty basic. It's good for Darren Simmons and his crew, but for us storytellers and or people that are just observing, you're not going to get much out of it.
You mean you're not a special teams nerd, is what I'm hearing.
Even
okay.
So, I don't even think special teams nerds would get much. Like you'd have to be like a special teams coach to really know anything or draw anything.
I mean, isn't every special teams nerd on the planet a special teams coach at this point?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's a good point.
Besides the kicking nerds, that's a special subgenre of special teams nerd that has its own YouTube channel.
Well, but kicking is like Evan McPherson's like the 6th most popular Bengal. So like it's different.
What's
He's
the
up
list?
there, too.
Burrow, Chase, Mixon,
T.
Maybe T. Higgins, maybe Jesse Bates, although probably more so Jesse Bates if he signed his contract.
Yeah, McPherson's ahead of Bates. I'm ready to say that.
Yeah.
People cheered for him doing high knees.
Yeah.
High knees. I was like, what are we doing right now?
I need a DJ Reader fan club, Trey Hendrickson fan club to be. I need those
Hendrickson
to step up.
I don't.
Logan Wilson fan club, where are you guys at? Let's go.
I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, but the Money Mac nickname kind of stuck, man. You called him Money on Locked On Bengals. A year later, literally like a 5-year-old kid yesterday was like, I want to get Money Mac. He had a helmet that was signed by Chase. I think Higgins. I think he needed Boyd. And he's like, I got to get Money Mac. And I'm like, man, I can't believe that stuck. But it stuck.
Yeah. Well, we are influencers here on the Locked On Bengals podcast. A couple other injury notes before we get out of here. Thad Moss not practicing. Eli Apple banged up at practice on Tuesday. Taylor described him and Trey Flowers, who's missed a couple days now, as day-to-day. So it does mean an expanded opportunity for some of the corners down the depth chart, which most notably is Cam Taylor-Britt, but also is probably some guys that we haven't really talked about at all, because behind the 5 guys that I'm assuming will make the team to play corner for the Bengals are names like Delonte Hood, who finished Monday's practice with an interception, by the way. Jalen Davis, who I think probably will make the team to back up in the slot. Alan George, Abu Deremy Soiree, who the Bengals signed not too long ago in the offseason, and Bookie Radley Hines, a college free agent from Washington. So haven't really talked about any of those guys. Some of them will get increased opportunity with Trey Flowers and Eli Apple maybe missing a couple days.
Yeah, they will. I thought you were taking us home. You're right. It's going to give them some more time. And here's the thing. A guy like Eli, does he really need the reps?
Yes.
Like
yes.
Does he?
I mean, he's a veteran, so I get what you're saying.
But that's what I mean. Like, is it good for him to go against Chase? Yeah, but if you need to give him an extra day, the good news is that they got Wednesday off, and they'll go through walkthrough. But I wouldn't be shocked if we see him out there Thursday. This could be a Jackson Carman situation. It could also be where they give him a couple days to make sure that he's good. Yeah.
And I guess everybody else is doing okay at this point. Jeff Gunter, who had the injury scare with the knee, has been back for a couple of days now. Mitch
Wilcox is back.
Yep, you mentioned Wilcox back, and then T. Higgins had a full rest day on Tuesday. It's the only other one, and he should probably be back, I would assume, on Thursday. And he's anxious, good. Man. He wants to be out there. You heard Jamar Chase in that little locker room clip talk about how T's ready to go and T's anxious to be out there. He also told reporters he was tired of being on the sidelines. So hopefully we get to see some T. Higgins action in some of these team sessions in the near future.
Yeah, I talked to him. I don't think it's going to be this week, but I talked to him. He's good to go. Everything's good. I got to see his shoulder a little bit where he had the work done, but 100% all go, ready to go. It's more the coaching staff just saying, let's keep Chase is what? The Ferrari? What is T? Probably another Ferrari, maybe a Mercedes-Benz. You're used to Benzes, Jake Liscow. Mercedes-Benz driving Jake Liscow. Maybe he's the Benz. They're keeping the Benz in the garage right now. That's all.
All right. Well, we hope to see T. Higgins back in practice soon. The Bengals are off, as James said, on Wednesday. We are not. We will still have an episode for you Wednesday night, and then the Bengals back at it on Thursday. We've got 2 more days, 2 more episodes for the week to get you through the next couple of days. Until next time, Bengals fans, thanks for listening to the Locked On Bengals podcast. Hoo day, and have a good one.